Hello, veterinary friends. Welcome to the Veterinary Life Coach Podcast. Today, I have a wonderful guest for you. Her name is Renee Jones. She is the author of What's Really Eating You? Overcome the Triggers of Comfort Eating. She has a master's degree in family counseling with a clinical residency and currently has a coaching business where she helps people overcome their emotional eating. She's also a speaker and has a TEDx talk called Lose Weight and Keep It Off, Emotional Eating. Welcome to the podcast, Renee. I'm delighted to have you here. I think this is going to be an excellent topic for our podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited to meet you. So I always ask all my guests, their first question is to tell me their story.
Well, my story is I spent 40 years on the diet yo-yo, and I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
My first diet, my mother was a little concerned about it, but I started at 10 because
10 years old. Oh
I
God.
was the tubby little redhead in a class filled with blondes and brunettes, skinny girls. And I just thought, I don't want to be that. And she's like, okay, if we learn now how to do this, then it'll suit her for the rest of her life.
Right.
Unfortunately, she wasn't good at it.
Your mother, you mean?
My mother wasn't good at it.
Okay, yep. As
So
most people aren't, right?
most people are not. And, the entire family has struggled with weight.
With weight.
So I started at 10 and we did okay for a couple of weeks. And this became the story. We'd do okay, we'd fall off. We'd do okay, we'd go to my grandparents' place or, an event and we'd fall off. So we'd get back on it and eventually we'd give up. And if we lost anything, we gained it all back. And
Right.
that's what
Plus some
I did.
right?
Usually, yeah. So I woke up on the 1st of January of 2012 and thought, I am staring down my 50th birthday. If I don't fix it now, there's no hope for me because of, menopause and all of those things, right?
Right. Yeah.
So I started out really well for about 2 weeks. And then I fell off and I thought, no, I am not giving up on this. And I started again and again. And it was April and I had to buy a bigger size.
Oh, that's disappointing, right?
Oh, it's mortifying. So I thought, okay, I've got to figure this out. And I went to the computer, do some research, and I found the term that I had not heard before. Emotional eating.
Mm,
It's all over now,
right.
but it wasn't then.
Right.
And I thought, that's me. That's what I do. I eat emotionally. But I didn't know how to fix that. I mean, I had, the counseling background.
Right.
I could help people with their issues, but to do for myself, I decided I needed some help.
Yeah.
So I started, searching for someone, finally found someone. And for my personality type, having external accountability is really helpful because I'll do anything for you. You ask me to do it, it's going to get done. To do
Right.
it for myself, 40 years on the diet
That's
yo-yo.
pretty common, right?
It is very common.
Yeah.
Which is why coaching works so well because you've got somebody to talk to,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So we worked and I actually reached my goal weight the week before my 50th birthday.
Wow. That's
And
awesome.
12 years and where are we now? 3 months later, I'm still at that same weight.
Yay.
And I've never been off it. I mean, let's be honest, there is normal fluctuation of a couple of pounds here and there, particularly
Sure.
after a holiday, but I have never been more than 2 pounds over. And that's a fairly normal fluctuation.
Right.
So today I'm the same weight as I was the day I reached my goal.
Right. And tell me how that process was for you. Like, what was the
Well,
discovery?
I think the discovery was dealing with the emotional stuff. We often stuff down our feelings and follow it with a food chaser
It's
just to
true.
make ourselves feel better.
Right.
And my coach and I worked on, okay, what's something you can go to remind yourself? And I love toys and I love words. And I actually taped this on my refrigerator.
Oh my goodness. I kind of get the symbolism.
Yeah,
It's a pacifier if you're just listening to us.
yes. And you see the blue tape? That was
Yes.
taped. My
Taped to
husband
your
came in and was
refrigerator.
like, "What?" I said, "Just go with it, love.
Why
Just
is
go with
there a
it."
passy on our refrigerator?
Well, and part of that is that emotional eating is a very natural response to stress and upset because oral soothing works.
Hmm.
And from birth, when a baby cries, we put something in its mouth,
Right, right. We
right?
teach them that, right?
We teach, well, and it works.
Right, yeah.
Unfortunately, as we get older, we go to donuts and pizza and soda and wine
Candy
and
and yeah,
anything to
right.
soothe ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the things that I came up with for myself, my mantra was face your stuff, don't stuff your face.
Oh, that's a good one.
Thank you. Thank
Face
you.
your stuff, don't stuff your face. Okay, I like
Because it's not the food, Julie.
that. I know.
It is all the stuff driving us to that need for comfort or stress relief.
And it's highly unconscious, correct?
Yes.
Like if people don't think they're emotional eaters, if you really start looking into it, you'll find out that that's a lot of it.
Yes.
It's not that you just like to eat.
No, no, it's
That's what a lot of
looking,
people say, right? I just like food. And I, well, yeah, so do I. But that's not what we're talking about.
yeah, yeah. In fact, I've had a client who, basically had some trauma as a baby.
Oh,
She was
wow.
in the hospital, and to keep them quiet, the nurses gave them a bottle.
Yeah,
And what we worked through was all of that stuff around not getting the love and attention and all of that she needed, because you do need that, but there are
right.
other ways to get it other than food.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely true. So what did you discover while you went through this process that led you to want to help other people? Because were you coaching when you discovered this yourself?
No.
Or you got coached and then you were like, oh, this is genius. I'm going to pass this on to someone else. Yeah, I
Yes.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, I had struggled with it for all of those years. And I thought, if I can help someone else, and my coach was going in a different direction. She said,
Okay.
take over, kind of
Oh,
thing.
nice. Yeah,
So it was just the need to say, I need to help someone else not struggle with this.
right. Yeah, because it's so disappointing. Tell me what happens. Tell me what happens when you start on these diets and then you fall off the wagon and you start to overeat again and you start gaining weight. What happens to you emotionally?
Oh, shame, guilt, all that kind of
Because
stuff.
it gets worse, right?
Yes. Yes. And okay, every diet works while you're on it, but not every diet works for everybody.
Right.
So about 2 years in, I realized that I was tired, hungry, and cranky all the time. And I thought, okay, this is not good. There's got to be a better way. Because my poor sweet husband, God love him, he was struggling with me, right?
Right.
And I thought, okay, I got to find something different. So back to research, and I found a way to figure out what works for an individual body.
Mm,
And I tried this out, right? And I got what was supposed to be the diet that works for me, except it was polar opposite to what I'd been doing,
mm,
because I lost my weight on a low fat, low calorie diet, which was the normal kind of uh, suggestion at the time.
Right, right,
So by now I'm 52 or nearly 52, and I look at what I'm supposed to be eating, which has a lot of fat in it. And I thought, I wonder if this is going to affect me negatively if I just try it for a week. Surely just a week won't be a problem.
right.
So I could have butter and cheese sauce on my broccoli. I could have bacon. I needed more protein apparently.
Right.
And I thought, okay. So 1 week I wasn't tired. I was never hungry. And bless Mr. Jones, I was never cranky.
Because you got to eat something.
And I lost 2 pounds that week at my goal weight.
Right.
And I thought, okay, I've been doing it wrong forever.
Right.
But it wasn't until, you can turn off all the noise of what everybody else is doing. Because I had tried every stinking diet along the way, right?
Right.
But finding what worked for my body changed everything.
So when you're coaching someone, how do you help them find that? Is it just trial and error?
Well,
Or do you
it
kind of go with like the current science that, it's better to eat higher
no,
fat?
I
Like
I go through the
what do you
same
do?
process that I went through and ask them all the questions,
Right.
and we find it. Now, we can do it in about an hour and a half. You can do it by monitoring how you feel after every meal. What's satisfying? Keep good records. What's satisfying mentally, physically, and emotionally? Because they're all part of it.
Right.
But yeah, I include that in my program because it saved me. So why wouldn't I share that with others?
Right. And how do you get people to understand, I guess? I don't know if that's the right word, but how do you work with someone to help them understand what their emotional triggers are or problems are? I mean, I kind of know this as a life and a weight coach, but I want to hear it from your perspective. Like, how do you start it down that road? Not just the diet part, but the emotional part.
Yeah, we start talking about experiences they've had.
Mm,
We start talking about what has worked, what hasn't. What happened last week? When you last felt you were eating for emotional reasons, what was going on prior to?
beautiful. Yeah.
And I tell this story, or I do an exercise actually in my TEDx talk, because most of us have one of those foods, the one you just can't say no to, right? That calls your name from the neighbor's freezer in their garage, right?
Right. Yeah. If you know it's there, you can't leave it alone, like ice cream
Yeah,
or something. Yeah.
yeah. And there's usually something to that. Now,
Hmm.
for me, my mother died in 2003, and I all but crawled into my peanut butter jar. That was my comfort food.
Oh,
Now,
yeah.
peanut butter is a wonderful food,
Right. But you
but
can eat jars of it.
yes, that quantity can be problematic. Yeah.
Right.
And I gained about 30 pounds, but I didn't care.
Right.
Now, meanwhile, my grandmother's still alive, and now I have her care. And, you know, from the moment I was born, my grandmother was my rock. We were tight. We liked the same things and all of that. So she was a very important part of my life. And when she passed away, I thought, I cannot crawl into this jar again.
Again.
And what I finally worked out was the peanut butter, because she and I loved it so much between us, the peanut butter became a symbol of her love and encouragement.
Mm.
And my coach said, she in that jar? No, no, she's not. So how do we then get that kind of comfort in a different way?
Right.
Because you still need the comfort,
Sure.
but it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be in the form of smashed peanuts.
Right.
or whatever your food is, ice cream,
Emotional food of choice, huh?
whatever your emotional food of choice is. There's a
Yeah.
reason it became so important to you.
Right. So you have to dig for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they usually know,
Oh,
you
sure.
know. I mean, I've
Yeah.
had comments on my TEDx. They're like, when my parents took us out to tell us they were getting a divorce, they took us to a donut shop. That's why I can't let go of donuts. When I walked in there, my family was still intact.
Right. Yeah. Well, in a lot of ways, I think, I mean, at least it was true in my family. Um, Food is food. Sometimes when you're a kid feels like love. Because when you
Yes.
go to your grandma's, they're like, oh, I made you chocolate chip cookies, or I've
Yeah.
got candy, your favorite candy. Like my grandparent, both of my grandmothers were like, every time you went to their house, it was all about the food. And that when you're a kid, that feels like love. You're
Oh, it
like, oh,
does.
grandma loves me because she made me an apple pie, or grandma loves me because she bought me candy. And so I think, it's kind of a learned thing in a lot of
It's a
ways.
cultural thing.
And yeah, and it's absolutely cultural too, right? The celebrations around food, the family gatherings, which are all about food. Yeah.
Well, in the Jewish and Italian mothers
Yeah.
and grandmothers, I made this for you. Don't you want it? I made it out of love for you. I
Yeah.
mean,
And
it
then it's
comes from
guilt,
both directions, right?
right? Yeah. They guilt you into eating it.
Because they love you and they made it for you.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty deep. And that gets very deep into your primitive brain.
Mm, mm. Yes. Yes, it
And
does.
that's why it's so involuntary. I think when you start to feel stressed, if you're a stress eater, emotional eater, you start to feel that stress. The first thing your brain says is go get something to eat. And it's almost automatic. Like you don't even
Yes.
realize it until you're like halfway through the bag of chips.
Yeah. And if you can arrest that, I have an acronym that I share with people. And basically, it's overcoming emotional eating isn't hard, but you do have to get the hang of it. And hang is the acronym.
Okay.
So when I feel the need to go for food, H, am I actually hungry? Because if you are, okay, you may need something to eat, sure. But if you're not, what's the attraction to food right now? What's going on that makes me want to go get it?
So that
And
helps you to start understanding what you're thinking
right,
in that
we
moment.
got to figure out what's going on, right?
Right. Exactly.
So then, what is it that you actually need in that moment? For me, with peanut butter, I needed love and encouragement. I just
Okay.
had to go find husband or friend or somebody to give it to me.
Right.
It's just a different way.
Yeah.
You may need you may need to walk the dog who's lying behind me. You may need to have a walk around your building. You may need to do some deep breathing. Something. You need something. So go is the G. Go get that
I
because
love
that
it.
will soothe you more than food ever possibly could.
And then once you practice that skill, that hang skill over and over and over again, it probably becomes more of a habit. It's like,
Yes.
oh,
And
I'm
that's the
feeling
thing.
stressed, but I want something to eat, but I'm not really hungry. And it probably gets easier each time you do it.
It's a practice. Like
Right.
anything else, we have to practice it
Yeah.
and change the habit because it's become our habitual response when we're stressed, mad, sad, frustrated, whatever. Put something in the mouth.
Right, right. And I've had so many people when I'm coaching them tell me that they can't help it. They can't help it. That they feel like
Powerless.
that they're eating beyond their control, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like these four things. Am I hungry? Why am I being attracted to whatever it is I'm seeking? And
Yes.
sometimes you just open the refrigerator and stand there, right? Because you really aren't hungry and you're looking for one of those trigger foods.
You're looking for
And
cold comfort, aren't you?
yeah. And then what do I need? And
Hmm.
then go get it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hang.
Hang.
Okay. Yeah. I
Just
just
get the
want to
hang of it.
repeat that. Yeah. I love it. That's a good little tool.
Thank you.
So, I read something in your on your website about horses.
Horse assisted therapy.
Yeah, horse
Yes.
assisted methods or something you wrote. Yeah, so tell me
Yeah.
about that.
So horses see through our masks. They don't believe it if we're trying to cover up something. They can see straight through.
I can feel it, right?
They can feel it. Yeah. So we don't even ride the horses, right? That's a different kind of that's a different method. But this
Yeah.
one, we just work with the horse and they give us an indication of what we need to do. I just have to read the horse, not you. The
Okay, so
horse is the
tell me how you
therapist
work
reading
that.
you.
Yeah.
So, for example, when I was doing my training, um, we were we were in a round pen, but we were in a protected part of that pen, and I was at the back, and I'm only 5'3", so I was trying to avoid being called on, right?
Right. Hiding.
Hiding. There was one horse in the round pen, and the rest of them in that herd were kind of around us. They were very interested in us. So the instructor said, "Who wants to do this?" And I was thinking, not me, not me, not me, not me. And this horse that was like, I don't know, 464 hands, he was huge, pushed me.
Nice.
And the instructor said, "Renee, I think it's you."
Oh my gosh. So you stumbled to the front of the pack.
Yes, yes. So they can see what we're thinking and feeling. In fact, I'd had it was a 2-week training, right? And I'd had a hard week with some conflicts with a couple of people. And I was born redheaded, so that's a thing. And we were talking about one of the horses in a different group, uh, who was just really difficult and kind of awkward at times. And I said, "Now, which horse is that?" She said, "It's the one with the same color hair as you."
Nice.
Lovely, thank you. So, okay, fine. So when we finish, we're saying goodbye to the different herds, and there's this one horse who was like 32, but she and I bonded that week. So we walked over to her because she was separated from everyone else trying to look after her. And we walked over to her and she walked away from us. We were all saying, "Thank you, you sweet," petting her and all the rest of it. And she just sort of walked away. And I was just watching her because she was gorgeous. A great horse and beautiful. So I was admiring her. And she turned around and looked at me. And I know she looked at me because when I said everyone was gone,
Oh, you were the only one left.
I was the only one left and they were on the other side of the barn. And I was like, "Oh, thank you. Thank you for this, but I'm sorry I have to go." She walked me back to my herd. And when we got within about 15 feet of them, she turned and ran away.
That's interesting.
She could see my discomfort and just wanted to give me a gift.
Yeah. To
They're,
help
they're
you.
just amazing.
Yeah, horses are incredible. And they are very tuned in to people in a lot
Yes.
of ways. So do you use that kind of therapy now still? Do you have
Um, Occasionally it can be expensive because you've got to pay for the space and the horse and because I don't
gotcha.
have my own.
Because you don't have your own, yeah.
Right. So, I mean, there's a place that I can use,
Yeah.
but of course, that's a cost I have to pass along to the person. And it can
Sure.
be, they're like,
Sure.
"Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know that I want to do that." So I do
Yeah.
it occasionally, but not a lot.
So do you think it's something that, if people have horses or, I'm speaking to veterinarians because some of us have animals. Do you think there's something that you could do with your own pet or your own horse to help you deal with your emotional issues?
Well, I think it's hard for us to see our own stuff
Mm,
because
absolutely.
we excuse and well, it's just this. Like I'm a redhead. That's
Right.
why
That's
that's
why
why
I'm
people
cranky all the time when I don't eat.
right, right. We
Yeah.
we make excuses and various things happen. But if you have a vet friend who is a coach and can read the horse for you while you interact because it's basically just interacting with the horse. So there
And
was
see
one,
how they respond, huh?
yes. So we had a client and the horse was standing between me and her. And I said, okay, so he's protecting you. What's going on? And she told me that she had just found out she had cancer.
Oh, wow. So she
Yeah,
had a lot of pent up fear or whatever, and he sensed it.
right.
Yeah, I
Right.
love
So
that.
if you could probably work with someone,
Sure. Yeah.
but with to do with your own, you'll get some of it, but you won't get all of it.
Yeah. So tell me more about that. Um, I obviously love coaches because that's why I got into it. Because when I started getting coached, I was like, okay, this is the key to the universe.
Yes.
You can solve any problem with a coach. And so that's why I got into it. But tell me your theory or why you love it or why you think everyone should have a coach or like give me your
Oh, I think we all have stuff going on that we either don't recognize or don't know how to deal with or can't stay on track, right?
Yeah,
So the accountability is huge. But also, if someone cares enough about me to say, is this something you want to work on? Because this is holding you back. And then they have a different perspective on it. I mean, we can talk about things and just completely see a different way.
sure.
I mean, I remember when I was being coached and we were online and I was talking and then she said something. I was like, I have no idea what you just said, but everything just shifted.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I call it that light bulb moment where
Yes.
your coach sees something that you never even considered
Yes.
and they ask you a question and you're like, "Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I never thought of it that way." And
Yeah.
that like changes my whole perspective and my whole outlook on this
Yeah.
one problem or whatever it is, right?
And even better, Julie, sometimes you can see their hearts healing in the moment.
Oh, yeah.
And that is just so good. It's like, this is going
Yes.
to be great
Yeah.
for them
Yeah.
forever. And
It's
it's
so
usually nothing
exciting.
that we consciously did.
Right.
It just happened. And I'm so grateful for it.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that is it. That's the one real rewarding thing about being a coach is just seeing people change, not because what you do for them or helping them, but just that
Mm.
you open them up to the possibilities that things can be different. And I think
Yes.
you being on this podcast, showing people like, look, you can be done with this whole yo-yo dieting weight loss thing. Like that is not, it's not necessary anymore.
It's not inevitable either.
Right. Yeah.
If you want to make the shift and do something different, everything will change because, we know that what was that, the butterfly effect? One flap of a wing can change everything. And if you want to heal, if you want to be back in control, if you want to be able to feel your best all the time, why couldn't you do it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Why wouldn't
possible.
you let go of this struggle
Yeah,
forever, right? And just be
yeah.
like, yeah. So what is I know you wrote the book, What's
Hmm.
Really Eating You. Are there, other than get the hang of it, are there other things in there that you can share with us to help people understand that working with someone like you or like me or someone that deals with your emotions um, can really solve this issue?
So, um, that thing about being able to do anything for someone else, but not do it for ourselves.
Yeah, I love that.
The largest group of population works that way. It's just the largest group of us. And it's likely that if you've struggled for a long time, that that's part of it. So, how do we deal with that is the question.
Right.
Sometimes having accountability, we'll do it. Because no, that always works. We can't do something for ourselves, so we have to make it external in some way, shape, matter, or form. The dog sacked out behind me is the reason I walk.
Right.
I started walking my dog years ago when he had had ACL surgery, and he had to walk 3 times a day, starting with 5 minutes and working up to an hour, right?
Yeah.
After 3 hours in the Texas summer, an hour at 6 o'clock in the morning didn't seem so bad, right?
Right. Right.
Every dog since then, it's been because, when they've had a walk, they're just better puppies, right?
Sure. Yeah. Get rid of their energy.
So it also benefits me. But if I did it for myself, I wouldn't do it. But doing it for him, it
Right.
works.
Well, and they insist. I know my dog, once they eat in the morning, I've got a maybe 30 minutes to an hour, and then I'm gonna have to walk them. Like
Yeah.
they're not gonna let me sit on the couch. It's just not happening. Even when I've been sick lately, I've had this cold. I'm like, oh, I still got to go walk the dogs.
Yeah.
So you can't just stay in bed all day, which there's something powerful in that in a lot of ways.
Yeah. But it's doing something for the intention to help someone else allows
Correct.
me to do something for
For
myself.
yourself. Yeah.
For example, I am a coach, a weight loss coach. What would happen if I let my emotional eating get out of hand again and just started eating anything and everything? Would I have any work to do?
Right. Yeah. People would be like, well, if you can't control it, how can I? Yeah.
So people watch my waistline. When I was growing up, my father was the principal of my school. I had to behave in school, out of school. We were in a small town. It
Right.
ostensibly it was for him, but it worked really well for my teenage years to stay out of trouble.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So we have to find a way to make it benefit someone else, and that will keep us on track.
Yeah. And I also think that when you start unraveling these emotional issues that you've carried around for years, and maybe you never thought of it that way,
Yes.
like I have a lot of people that say, I'm a stress eater, I'm a stress eater. Like that's just like a normal thing. And it kind of is, because like you said, when you're a baby and you get upset, people shove something in your mouth. So it is kind of trained into us, but they accept it like there's nothing that can be done.
Yes, they
And
treat
I
it
think,
like a a lifelong disease rather than a broken leg,
right, right.
and they
Something that
wear
I
the
can
cast
work on
forever. Yeah.
and that might always be with you, because I would argue, and maybe you'll correct me on this, but I would argue that when you have this deeply ingrained emotional eating piece of your personality, it's very, very difficult to be 100% rid of it. Like it likes to rear its head. It's that old story that like I'm a fat kid or we have these stories,
Yeah.
but it's very hard to be like 100% done with it,
Yeah.
because every once in a while, like when something bad happens, like your grandmother dies, it comes back up. But
It
then
is a
if you're
part of you.
right, and if you're aware of it though, it's going to be easier each time it comes up to deal with
Mm.
it and not let it carry you away. Like you might eat a half a jar of peanut butter and then be like, "Oh, I'm emotionally eating. I need to stop." Like I mean that's how it feels to me, because I have that. I used to call myself a stress eater, and binge eater when I was very stressed out. I used food a lot when I was in college dealing with the
Mm.
stress of veterinary school. That was like
Yeah.
eat a hamburger and you'll feel better kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, so when it comes up, understanding that that's part of you is like, oh, okay, I understand why I want to do this, but now I'm not going to do it because I got to deal with whatever the emotion is that's causing that urge. Is that
Yes.
true? Like,
Yeah. I
does it
mean,
ever 100% go away?
I think there may be people who can do that.
Yeah.
I am not one of them.
Right.
but we can continue to overcome it.
Sure. Yeah. It's like a,
And I think we get more accustomed to, oh, this is what's happening. Okay. So I did not buy peanut butter for 2 years.
right. You gave yourself I talked to another person on the podcast one time, and he said, you set up your environment for success.
Yes.
Like
And
you
if
don't
you
buy the
don't,
candy. Yeah, it's harder.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
My husband's mother sent him home once with a large container of salted roasted nuts,
Mm.
which is just basically the bliss point that they've created for us to so we can't stop. And I said, no, 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 take that either upstairs or back to your office. It cannot be here. Well,
Right.
he took it upstairs, and when he was leaving later that week, he brought it back down and put it in the pantry. And I didn't discover until he was gone. I was like, love, what are you doing to me here? So I took it and put it in his sock drawer because I wasn't going to be in his sock drawer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I do.
It,
I still do that to this day. If there's a lot of junk in my house from the hot, like leftover from Christmas or whatever, there's all the leftover stuff. And I really have a hard time throwing it away. I'm like, okay, well, I don't want this candy sitting somewhere where every time I open the cupboard, I have to look at it.
yes.
I hide it on myself, which is a really weird thing to do.
No.
But I put
Oh,
it somewhere where I don't usually go, and then I forget that it's there. And I might find
yes.
it in a month and go, oh, I forgot I hid this candy on myself. And then I got to decide if I'm going to eat some of it or not. But at least it's not like in my view every time I go to get some other food, some good food or whatever.
Okay. Here's a strategy.
Okay,
You
give it
either
to me.
have your own cupboard or one for all of that stuff,
Yeah.
or pantry, opaque containers above your eye level, and all of
Okay.
your foods at your eye level, either open or in clear containers.
Okay. That's a really good idea. Yeah. Yeah, you're basically hiding the bad stuff from yourself. Yeah. And I
Yes.
hate to call food bad because I don't believe that's true. I mean, yeah, if you eat a whole jar of peanut butter, that's not good. But if you have a small peanut butter sandwich, it's probably okay.
Yeah.
So, but I think that is part of the strategy of training your brain to not be so triggered
Mhm.
by whatever it is that you're triggered by.
Yeah.
Either don't buy it, or if you feel like you must buy it, then keep it somewhere where you don't have to look at it every day, or it's not
Yes.
easy to get to.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Protect yourself.
correct. Yeah,
And here's the thing. If there are foods that we struggle with, it doesn't take that long to kind of break the pattern,
right.
right?
Yeah.
In 2015, I decided sugar was not good for me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sugar is addictive.
it
It's not even
is.
just emotional, it's like physically addictive.
Yes, it is. So I decided that I was going to ease my way into this. So I said, I only have sugar on Sundays.
Mm.
And that was okay. And the first week, along about Wednesday, I was staring down the chocolate chips in the pantry. Like, no, I only have sugar on Sundays.
Yeah.
Get out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
So about 2 months in, I was a hospital chaplain for about 20 years. And on Sunday afternoons, I went to a behavioral health hospital and did a spirituality group for them. So at 3 o'clock, as per usual, Sunday afternoon, I was going to have whatever candy or cake or whatever it was I was going to have. And I had a cup of tea. And I had to drive about 20 minutes over to the hospital. So I eat this, get in the car. On my way over, I'm thought something's funny. And I hit the door, and the receptionist was like, Chaplain, are you okay? I said, yeah, I think I just figured out what sugar does to me because it made me, like
Super
caffeine,
hyper,
right?
huh? Yeah.
I, so I thought, that's not good. I don't want to do that. So I stopped having sugar. And now I only have it like for national holidays. And a couple of days after, because this is what I learned, is that sugar makes me mean.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
guess
Well,
whatever it does to my blood sugar, it's just like, yeah, we're going to stay away from that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think that there's a lot of evidence out there right now that how bad sugar is for us and how we've kind of become addicted to it because of the way our food is manufactured and processed and all of that. Because
Yes.
I read labels a lot and
Mm,
it's like it's horrifying what's in some of our food. It's scary.
yes.
It's like no
And the
wonder we're
sugar and
addicted to
things.
sugar, right?
It's like, why? I remember going to the grocery store one day and the butcher was sharing, sampling sausage or something. And he poured maple syrup over it. I said, why? I said, people like it. It's sausage.
Yeah, yeah. Why do you need sugar in sausage? Yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is really fascinating. So, what have I not asked you about this subject or about anything that I should ask you? So we get it
Um,
all into this episode. I mean, it doesn't mean we
gosh.
can't do it again, but
What have you not asked me? Um, can I give your listeners a gift?
yeah, I love that.
Okay, if they go to packyourownbag.com/friends, there are a couple of videos there, and one is a goal setting video.
Okay.
And the idea is that uh, it's called the compass, and it's self-explanatory.
Okay. I love that. Okay. I'll put that in the show notes too for people where to find it. Um, okay, I love that. Anything else?
Well, just know that no taste of food, no pill, potion, or powder will hit that spot and resolve whatever emotional trauma you're dealing with.
Mm.
It won't last.
Yeah, because it doesn't. It just gives you that little boost of adrenaline. It hits your brain and makes you temporarily feel better, but you always feel worse. I mean, I
Yes.
used to binge eat, and luckily I was
Oh,
able to
bless you.
solve that emotional problem. Um, but you always felt worse after you
Yeah.
ate your binge. Like while
Yeah.
you were eating it, you felt soothed, but then it was like, oh, I just ate a half a bag of chips and a hamburger and, like whatever you ate. And then you just feel so awful, like
Yeah.
physically awful and then
Yeah.
emotionally awful. You're
Yeah.
just making those emotional problems worse
Yes.
in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, would you like the craving buster?
Tell me.
Okay. If there's a food that you just have to have it.
Yes. Yeah.
However, there's a way to do it. And it's not
Okay.
standing over the sink or over the trash can hoping no one's going to catch you.
Right.
If you have to have that food, then enjoy it. So lay your table, use, dishes,
Yeah.
a
Don't eat out
pretty
of the ice
glass.
cream carton, right?
Now put it in a bowl
Yeah.
and sit down and enjoy every bite of it. Squeeze every bit of flavor you can
Really
get
taste
out of
it. Yeah.
that. Do it slowly
Yeah.
because half the time we eat so fast we don't notice we've had it. And then we think, I didn't get to enjoy that.
Right. I need to get more.
You've got to give that food the same honor that you're giving your craving.
Okay. That's good. So you call that the craving buster.
Craving buster.
I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah, I'm fully of that mindset that, there are things that you are going to want to do. You're going to want to eat a piece of birthday cake at someone's birthday party. And, just don't eat everything on the buffet. Just kind of makes sense of it. I
Yeah.
think that's part of it is if you can ask yourself, does this make sense or is it me trying to fix an emotion?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Well, I think we've gone on quite a while. Is there anything else we need to say?
No, I think we probably covered it.
Yeah. Tell them again your book and where to find it and where to find you. Say your website again.
Website is packyourownbag.com. Because
I
I
need to
think
ask you about that. Tell me why it's pack your own bag.
because
Because
I
I
think
saw that when I looked it up. I was like, oh, that's a good website.
our emotional bags get packed for us. And sometimes we have to unpack all the stuff so we can pack for the journey we actually want to be on, not just the
Oh,
one we fell
beautiful.
into.
Yeah, I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
good. I'm glad I asked you that question.
So the book is What's Really Eating You? Overcome the Triggers of Comfort Eating. And it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, as well as the audio version is on Audible and Chirp and every Spotify and whatever.
Okay, I
It's
love
pretty
that.
much everywhere.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay. And get a coach.
If you're really struggling and you haven't been able to overcome whatever it is, why wouldn't you let somebody help you?
It's
Because then
the
you could be
it's the
free.
best, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
I keep a coach even now.
I do too. I still get coached,
Yeah.
not every week, but fairly regularly.
Yeah.
Because you'll just really be surprised what comes up for you and the things that you are like, oh, why am I doing this? Or why am I not doing this? I
Mm.
think the biggest one for me is why am I not doing it? Why am I avoiding?
Yeah.
For me, it's writing a lot. I struggle when I write. But just like, why am I avoiding it? And then when you talk to somebody, you're like, oh yeah, it's that it's that
Yeah.
story, it's that thought, it's that fear, but
Mm.
it takes someone else to like ask you the questions to unlock it from your brain. And I just, I don't know, coaching's the best. So I'm excited. And you coach one-on-one and in groups,
Yes.
right?
I do groups sometimes. I don't
I
have
love
one
that.
at the moment, just finished one. So
Yeah. Yeah.
may come up with one soon. But yes, one-on-one all the time.
I love that. Okay. So if anybody loves what Renee had to say and wants to coach with her, they can reach you at this website, right?
That's right.
Packyourownbag.com.
And Renee at packyourownbag.com is my email.
I love it. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being on the
Thank you for having
podcast.
me.
It's been lots of fun. I'm sorry I'm a little stuffy today and sniffly, but I'm getting over it, so I should be
Good.
should be better soon.
I hope
It's one of
so.
those
Very
little
soon.
lumps in the road, right, that you have to
Yeah.
take every so
Yeah.
often. All right. Well, thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for being here, Renee. This is Renee Jones, and have a beautiful week, everyone. Bye. Bye, Renee.